Um, oh, thank you, Bob. And I'd like to introduce Don L. Don is I've known Don for since 2012, and happy to call him a friend. And he's an shining example of service and commitment and all kinds of things. I don't want to embarrass him, but I know you're going to enjoy hearing Don L. today. And we're going to record the meeting. And with that, I'm going to stop the screen sharing. And Don, you're unmuted. So without further ado, if you'd like to start us off. Everybody, welcome, Don.
Thank you, Robert. I'm Don L. I'm an alcoholic. My home group is As Bill Sees It in Boise, Idaho. My sobriety date is April 10th, 1973. I've been around for a little while, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. I have to admit that this is a different format. I'm used to looking out over a sea of seats and butts in the seats, so forgive me if I stumble a little bit. And Robert, thank you very much for that very, very kind introduction. My story is pretty much like a lot of people's. I started out life in foster care in New York. Was in foster care until about age 6 or 7, and then went to live with my mother and soon-to-be stepfather, who turned out not to be a really great fella. As a matter of fact, he was a homosexual pedophile. And so I learned what it meant to have my ass loved. As a result of the abuse and what have you that I had as a kid, I left home early. I was 14 when I left home, and I've been on my own ever since. So whatever success I've had has been the result of my efforts, as well as many, many, many great people, nice people who have helped me along the way. I started drinking when I was very young. I was about 8 or 9 when I would be the bartender, so to speak, at cocktail parties, dinner parties at home. And I soon learned that people did not empty their glasses completely. So I helped them out in that regard, and would drain the glasses in the kitchen, and found I really liked the feeling that it gave me. It was a feeling of, started out as euphoria, but it soon became a feeling of, okay, nothing can continue to bother me or hurt me or in any way cause me discomfort. And I started falling back on that. I started drinking then. I kept drinking. And as I went through life, it became a bigger part of my life. However, I was fortunate enough that I was able to control the drinking early on, so that I was able to attend school. I was able to participate in life with some friends. I was able to find ultimately a group of fellas and gals who enjoyed drinking as much as I did. I was mostly back east, and I finally got a job up in Windham, New York, working on the Borscht Belt in the kitchen, and with a bunch of people in a dorm, and we partied rather hard, and that's where my drinking really got serious. I was 17 at the time, and I drank and drank and drank and drank, worked a little bit, drank and drank. As a result of that drinking, I was not able to perform my duties the way I was supposed to, and I got terminated a few times. Ultimately, I did go back to my family in California, and stayed with them for about 6-7 months, and then I went back out on my own. Went to school, went to college, graduated. graduated high school with a GED, and then went to college at Cal State Northridge and became an accountant, got my CPA, and started working with national firms. While working in with those firms, I met a couple of people who were like me. And so, we would spend our lunch hours on billing day, have our 3 martini lunch so that we would be well lubricated to get the billing done in the afternoon at much higher rates, et cetera. So, I mean, it was really kind of a situation of drink to become whatever it was I was supposed to be doing and dealing with at the time. I feel a little uncomfortable because I'm trying to cram what I usually say in 45, 50 minutes down into a 20. And that's not working too well for me. But what it comes down to is I was relying on booze, just like all of us. I was relying on booze to give me what I was not getting or felt I wasn't getting in life. I continued to drink until I was 27 years old. And that's when I had a very important God moment in my life. It was a God shot that I understand the nature of this particular group, and I'm not a religious person. I'm not a God believer. I follow more of a Native American form of belief. I believe in the Great Spirit, but I don't believe in the spiritual intervention of a deity. In any event, my little moment was I was out drinking April 10th, 1973. I was out drinking all night. I was a tax consultant, tax accountant. And so that was a very stressful time, and I was trying to blow off some steam, and I was hitting bars here, there, and everywhere. Hit a bar, have a couple of drinks, get in the car, drive off to the next one. I don't know how many I hit because I was in the middle of a massive blackout at that time. I did get to a point somewhere around 9 in the evening that I knew there was a pretty good chance I shouldn't be driving. And so I parked my car, my truck actually, I had an El Camino, and I called a taxi and basically said, hey, I need to go home. I am too wasted. I can't drive anymore. I need to go home. And the cabbie told me, nope, I know where you need to go. And he took me to the Valley Club in Van Nuys, California, and dropped me on the step of the Valley Club, which was an Al-Anon club, or rather Al-Anon club. And they took care of me. They called my wife. They told her I was pretty sick, that they had me and they were helping me. She came and got me, and the next day I started going back to the Valley Club right after work. And I did that for several months until I was able to stand on my own. However, the first few days of going there, I sat behind the biggest people I could find so nobody would call on me, nobody would know I was there. Like a lot of people, I was probably doing the same thing, and that is, expecting AA to teach me how to drink like a gentleman, how to get someone to say, hey, let's have a drink. But I soon found out, you folks soon were letting me know that a drink wasn't in my vocabulary. It was only the first drink. And so I started listening, and about 5 days after he had dropped me off at the Valley Club, I decided that you guys had something I needed. And that's when I started my AA program. Since then, I can't say that I've been practicing it perfect. I have worked the steps many times. I have a sponsor who actually has more time than I, so I feel very fortunate for that. I am a member of a couple of groups here in Boise that are just full of good AA. Now, what's good AA? Basically, good AA for me is my program. It helps me deal with whatever's come down the line. Everything good in my life has come while in AA, while recognizing my alcoholism. Everything good. I've had a great career. I was an international tax specialist. I got to travel the world. I've testified before Congress. I've helped influence some tax law. I've done a lot of things that were successful. Probably the most successful thing is that I had my wife in my life for 58 years. We were married for 56 of those. I was sober enough that I was able to be her caregiver when she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And I was her caregiver for 4.5 years and able to make her life a little easier. Excuse me for that, but that always kind of gets me a little bit. So I was able to have all the good things, and I was able to tolerate some of the toughest things. Some of the worst things in my life happened while I was sober. And fortunately, I have not had to drink in order to get through them. I have not had to numb myself in order to believe that there was going to be a resolution and a development that I could live with in the end. The toughest thing was obviously my wife's passing. She passed over a year ago. And as a result of that, I've been, somewhat morose at times, but I've also been very happy in that this program has enabled me to see the good in everything that's coming down the pike. She's no longer in pain or in discomfort, and for that I'm happy. I wish she was here, obviously, but hey, I'm living a life that I otherwise would not have had. I'm alive. I've got friends. I've got opportunities. I've got all manner of wonderful things that I'm able to enjoy and experience and live through and with. One of the toughest things that we have is dealing with the crap that can come down the pike and knock us upside the head. When I was drinking, I would allow that to become the excuse to go out and just get totally plastered. Actually, I don't think I needed too much of an excuse, but I never took a drink I didn't deserve. They were all everything that I needed right at the moment, and everyone that followed. But now I'm able to look at life, deal with life on life's terms. I'm able to say, hey, you know what? This too will pass. And I know that's trite. I know that's an easy shortcut to acceptance. But if I don't say that, if I don't start there, I'm never going to be able to accept what is coming. I'm never going to be able to deal with what is present. And I'm never going to be able to resolve it. And for me, that's the big thing. Resolution of the problems that I have to face is very important, because otherwise I'm just going to continue down that road that says, hey, poor me. I am being picked on. I'm being dealt with unfairly. I'm being treated in a miserable way. I deserve to get drunk. And that's only going to make it worse. I don't know, any other way to deal with things other than to pour that liquid in me and become a total asshole, actually, or deal with life on life's terms, deal with the problems as they present themselves, and become able to find a resolution. I I don't know how else to put it other than, you know, we can find more ways to foul up our lives and be total jerks and push people away. Now, the other part of it is that simply stopping drinking isn't the end of it. There's a lot of work that has to be done. It's kind of like marriage. I've often told folks that, they ask me, since I had been married for quite some time, they asked me, what's the secret to a long marriage? I said, you got to work at it. It is work. So is AA. It's a lot of work. It's not hard work. It's not difficult work. It's not bad work. It's not horrible. But it is work. We have to be cognizant of what's going on in their lives. We have to know what the book says. We have to know what the literature says. We have to use the tools that we have been given. And we can get through just about anything. Well, we can get through anything in this life if we put the work in. The end result is a joy and a peace and a happiness that was not even in the same neighborhood in my life before I joined AA. I've met a lot of fantastic people in this program. I've met a lot of people who are able to instill in me the desire to continue to move forward, who have given me instruction, who have offered me what it takes for me to get from 5 o'clock in the morning when I wake up to 10 o'clock at night when I go to bed. And every day for the last almost 50 years, I have not had the need to pick up a drink. I was very fortunate in that I lost the obsession to drink fairly early. I think it was somewhere in the first year. It was no longer an issue for me, no longer a thought. But that's because I had some good people helping me. I had a great sponsor who helped show me the way. I got into service. I took the program to heart and I lived with it. I look upon the big book as an owner's manual for an alcoholic. It tells me what I need to know in order to figure out how to deal with what life throws at me. And life has thrown a few things at me. I've had people die. Obviously, my mother, I'm older than dirt. So, unfortunately, she wasn't able to live to 140. I have a daughter who passed away. I have a wife who passed away. The other thing I would say is I hold my hand out to anybody and everybody who wants to know about this program and wants to know about what it means in my life. And hopefully they're able to take it and do something with it in their life. I would also point out, for those of you that may not be aware, this is a family disease. My son is a member of AA and has been for the last 13 years. My daughter is a member of AA and has been for the last 8 years. And my grandson is in AA and has been for the last 4 years. Fortunately, I've been able to be there for them in each of their decisions to join us. Everything I have, everything that I am, and everything that I can hope to be is a result of this program. And I love it. I love it. As I said, I'm trying to cram what I usually say in an hour or 45 minutes into a few minutes. And it may not make a heck of a lot of sense as it comes out of my mouth, but I hope you'll be forgiving and take the message as it's meant. And at this point, I really, I would start repeating things, which is not going to be of any great help. So I think I will just sign off with that. Thank Robert for inviting me and wish you all the very best.